Ding dong. Hello?
Yes, that's right, infidels. You found us here, channelattitude.com, Hameen Media Group, where you get the most real talk, the best reviews of all your favorite wrestling shows from AEW and WWE, Impact, and more, because we're going to break it all down with the best staff in professional wrestling at HMG. So you don't need to go anywhere else, because there's no 5 stars here. There's only $5 face slaps, infidel. Hello, Akbar! So sign up today, channelattitude.com, Hameen Media Group, and join the Hameen Army for the most real talk in professional wrestling. YOLO!
Warning. The following video clip contains strong language and has therefore been rated 18+ by the YouTube NECCA. Viewer discretion is advised.
The PWC Network. What the world is watching and listening to.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the
Hold on, I'm hosting.
Oh yes, sorry, you are. I totally forgot. It's just I'm used to it, Jeff. You're so right.
Everyone, and welcome to PWC. I am the Dr. Jeff Lippman, and we are keeping doctor's hours now. My co-host is here, occasionally on time, occasionally present, and occasionally paying attention. And it's Jimmy T. What's up, Jimmy T? What's lacking?
Just quietly, sorry about that, Jeff. First of all, I'm embarrassed. Look, I've gone red from that. It's just, I'm used to it, dude. You know how it is. Mm-hmm. But yes, Jeff is the host, and what's crack-a-lackin', you asked? Mm-hmm. Not much. It's good, actually, but I just feel bad for doing that. So yes, thank you for bringing me on our show.
That's great, sure. So, folks, first of all, PWC, we're no longer the Penis Wrestling Channel. Yeah, we are.
Oh, we're
not necessarily people with cocks. Well, maybe we are. But we're also going to be prompt when we coalesce. Because we're trying to get more prompt. You see this, the Machismo, only a day behind Raw, not even 24 hours after Raw. We were going to go live at 15 minutes after Raw, but events eluded us. So something about that giant trillion-ton rectangle of ice in Antarctica.
Yes.
You don't need to know the rest. But Raw, XXX, Raw 30, big-time anniversary show. We got you covered. So PWC, prompt when we coalesce. That's what it stands for now. So Raw came to us from Philadelphia, the Wells Fargo Center. They had a sold-out crowd. They kept telling us the number over and over again, but I didn't write it down a single time, but it was something like 16,974 or something like that. So that was good. Terrific. Good for them. And, all through the night, they would give sort of little vignettes and still images of scenes from the past 30 years. They would tell you the month and the date, or the month and the year usually, sometimes the full date. They gave us the different theme songs and different theme sets throughout the night, and hit most of the high points in picture and sound. So, any overarching impressions, co-host, sidekick Jimmy T?
That sounds so weird. You know what? A lot of people didn't like the show, apparently, right? A-Track Brown just saying he definitely didn't like the show.
He never likes Raw.
Right. Well, that's true. But and that threw me off a little bit because obviously I wasn't around to watch it live, so I watched it just before we went live.
By A-Track Brown?
No, I was just reading some of the comments, but sometimes comments can sort of throw you off. But I've got good news though, Jeff. Mm-hmm. I actually didn't mind Raw. I thought it was pretty good, but it felt more like a comedy than an actual wrestling show, if that made any sense.
It makes complete sense. To be honest, I don't totally disagree with A-Track. Unfortunately, I've come to see these anniversary shows and the legend shows as sort of the same thing, where it's mostly wrestling kitsch. That said, I thought that the first hour was actually quite good. I thought the first hour was a really good episode of Raw. After that, I mean, it totally felt like that acclaimed Gun Club, episode, or any of the worst Jeff Jarrett segments on AEW. It was mostly that. I mean, and a lot of it felt like we'd seen it before. So I understand where people are coming from. I thought that after the first hour, it was basically meh and a lot of comedy, but what the hell were people expecting? I mean, it's a go-home show of sorts, but I mean,
but did it feel like it though, really, other than the start?
I mean, in the bookends, they tried to do things to make you think things were important. But, I mean, there were things in here that mattered. But no, I think it was definitely more the nostalgia show. But I feel very differently about the Rumble than I do about almost any other pay-per-view premium live event.
Me too. It's my favorite event.
Yeah. The Rumble is its own draw. The surprises in the Rumble are the build. So what you don't know is the build. So I am glad that there's 10 men's spots that we don't know about at least. I'm glad that only about 8 to 10 of the women's spots have been announced, and there's like something like 18 or 20 spots that we still don't know who's in it. That, to me, is the build, not the rest of the stuff. The matches are sort of filler, and the very few matches that are on there, they all have a story, and I think that they've been built fine. So I didn't have a problem with the show, but like people saying it was the best episode in years or months.
I've seen that too. That's crazy, dude.
Yeah. Also, a lot of people who they said were going to be on the show, or people were reporting were going to be on the show, weren't. Not surprised by all of them by any means. And we'll get to it a little bit later because there's a lot of backlash sort of about the lack of women's events and lack of women's legends on there.
Oh, true. Actually, that's a fair point.
It is, and we'll talk about it later, but I want to put a pin in it. I just want to say that I want to put 2 pins in it. One for us to discuss it later on in the show, but the other is that if there's not a fair amount of legends that are surprises in the Rumble, then the criticism is well earned. I have a strong suspicion that a bunch of legends were kelped off Raw 30 so that they could still be surprises in the Rumble. Because once you see them on Raw 30, you're like, yeah, they're going to be in the Rumble.
Yeah, true. And if you look at the slots that are left open and then you think of all the legends that they've shown, it kind of equals to the same amount, or very close anyway.
And if you also look at the men legends who are on the show, none of them are going to be in the Rumble. I mean, maybe X-Pac could be in there. But
he can still go, for sure.
The rest of them, Hulk Hogan's not going to be in there. Jimmy Hart's going to be there. Ron Simmons ain't going to be in there. The Godfather's not going to be in there. I mean, the other members of DX are not going to be in there. Flair's not going to be in there. So I think that that's part of the dichotomy there. I think because women's wrestling only became big more recently, that there are those women who are in their 40s now who keep themselves in fantastic shape and can still go. In fact, last year we saw Ivory, who was pushing 60 and looks like she's 43 and whatever.
Absolutely.
And can still go. So, again, 2 pins, one to be continued for after the Rumble, one for later discussion. Anyway, the show opens up with the microphone trying to cancel Hulk Hogan because Hulk Hogan comes up to Jimmy Hart and everything he's doing is getting cut off. And I'm wondering, is he cursing on a live mic? What the hell's going on? But then I'm realizing it's happening way too often. Then I see the tech guy run behind him, and I hear something that's like off or out or something, and I figured out. Then he handed Mike, so I figured he could say switch it out, and Hulk just kept going, didn't miss a beat, and
like a pro, man. I was actually quite impressed by it.
yeah, I'm sure it's not his first microphone malfunction, and Jimmy Hart, still just doing nothing, just being a remora on the teeth of Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan being a remora on the teeth of himself. But he gave a Hulk Hogan promo. He got a good response. It was short enough not to be obnoxious and self-congratulatory. Then he left, and that was it. That's the last we saw of Hulk Hogan. So, there it is.
And that's fine too. I mean, shit, it was just cookie cutter, scripted Hulk Hogan. You know what I'm saying? That's all it was.
So we should get some of the things out of the way as to people who we did see in stills and or in person. Because people wondering, will Vince McMahon be on there? And actually, I think we had this discussion on the PWC Facebook group, and I said no, but you're definitely going to see him in stills throughout the years. And that's Vince did not show up, but we saw him on stills. We saw Shane O'Mac on stills, and when I say stills, I also mean like videos from the past, scenes from the past. Ric Flair, scenes from the past, but in person, but for a fairly specific purpose, though he cut a promo. But we saw also Christian, Bret Hart, Big Show, Mark Henry,
JR, Jericho.
JR, we heard him. Bryan or Daniel Bryan, at the time. So a lot of people who you maybe associate now with AEW, and you weren't sure if they were going to show them or not, but they did. There's some talk that WWE reached out to AEW to see if some of the people could make video promos or appear. There's no word on whether, first of all, it's no confirmation of that. There's no word on whether that was successful. For all I know, they cut 7 promos. It seemed like the show, that the timing wasn't right. It seemed like there were some things that were rushed and some things that went on too long. So maybe those things got edited. I don't know, but I think it was noteworthy that at least, a lot of people who are prominent in AEW were not ignored. And there was also an obvious, allusion to Billy Gunn by his omission, sort of like they did last time. Lots of pyro, lots of fanfare. And then the show opens up with what is undoubtedly the best part of the show, the best story in all of wrestling.
By far. Jesus was good, man. This would have won an Academy Award in my book.
Well, an Emmy for TV.
Oh, sorry, an Emmy. That's right, TV, not movies.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys have awards there in the Global South. We
do. We do. No, we actually do. Yeah,
What's called
the music one's the ARIA and the ARIA Awards, and the TV ones is called the Logies. TVs and movies sort of put together here, but it's mainly TV, and it's called the Logies. Yeah.
Well, how many theaters are in Australia? Like 4?
No, man. What are you talking? Come on. Really, Jeff?
Okay.
There's heaps of there's plenty of theaters all around Australia, but more particularly between Sydney and Melbourne, there's quite a few.
Yeah, I saw one in Sydney. I was right there at the main quay there, where I was at a lovely hotel looking over the harbour and all of that stuff. I remember Oz, Great and Powerful was playing at the time.
Really?
Yeah, didn't see it there. Saw it since on cable. Regretted it.
As a matter of fact, Jeff, just quietly, the Melbourne scene for Broadway stuff and all that is actually very reminiscent of the New York style. As a matter of fact, they say there's a lot of similarities if you read up on it. So, yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Once we get off the show, I'm definitely going to read up on the Melbourne theater scene.
Go for it. No,
Absolutely.
You'll see. Go for it. I hope you do. Don't forget.
Yep, I will. I won't forget. I never do. So it opens up with Roman and the Bloodline. Everyone is garlanded with red flower leis, wreaths, garlands, whatever you want to call them, except for Sammy. Sammy has no wreath around him. Roman's got the one that looks like the chili pepper. Some of them have ones that look more like flowery leis, but even Paul Heyman has them. Now, one thing that I didn't quite say as a prediction, but I thought might happen, is that we might have jury members or other court officers that were from other generations of the bloodline.
Oh, that would have been great.
That they couldn't do the acknowledgement ceremony. Right. Apparently, Afa and Sika were not able to travel. I don't know if it was because it was illness or something else. They were.
I heard illness, dude, with Sika anyway.
And Rikishi also was sick, so that's why they're saying that they switched to the trial, which was actually the original plan A, but then became switched out with the acknowledgement ceremony. Of course, there was a lot of talk about The Rock. I've always been Rock skeptical. I think that everything else he does is more important than showing up for this. I didn't rule it out, at least especially on video or something. And I still don't rule it out entirely. But I was not particularly surprised he was not there tonight, because it wasn't his story last night. But there were no other Anoais. There was nobody from the Tongan side. There was nobody from the Fijian side. There was no Fatus, no Anoais.
No Fijian kids.
Yeah. Not even Lance. They couldn't even get the Lance or Hikuleo in there.
And like Steve Pena, your co-host would say on Hamlock Hangover about this made me laugh, about Jimmy Snuka, and what was it that they would set up, something like of his dead body or something like that.
Oh, the ghost of Jimmy Snuka, he kept saying.
That's it, the ghost of Jimmy Snuka.
From
that
now
was funny.
On the PWC, we're going to refer to him as Esteban Pineapple.
That's fucking borderline racist, Jeff. Esteban Pineapple?
Isn't that what the pina means? Isn't it pineapple?
I don't know. Is it?
I think
really?
So. Yeah,
I should look into that.
It is now.
Just don't say coconut, whatever you do.
Well, that's yeah. I remember that well.
I'm just saying they don't like it.
I change the questions.
Continue, please.
All right. So we saw an image of Bret Hart in 1993 with the championship, and then we saw 2023 Roman with the championship. So from we had the bookends of 30 years, and then of course we got the recap of the KO bloodline, and I groaned because who needed to see that again? And we noted that there was a bunch about Sammy. They noted, okay, this is what I wanted them to talk about. And commentary mentioned it, and Paul Heyman mentioned that Sammy was late to the rescue last week. They never got to a point where anyone gave him the excuses that I think we talked about. They said, hey, I was checking with the drivers. I was making sure the plane was fueled up and the flight plan was there. And by the time I saw my phone, I ran in. I mean, I was doing what you ordered me to do. You told me to take care of this. None of that happened, which was fine. So we had a tribal court. Paul Heyman presided. As it turns out, he was playing the role of the prosecutor. And we got ECW chants, and Paul Heyman said that he heard chants that are near and dear to his heart, that ECW is dead, and that he wishes the same for Sami Zayn. Whoa, kill shot.
No, I love how he improvised Paul Heyman and the way he said it. But then it became obvious when he was saying guilty, and I'm saying as charged, because ECW, right? So you had to say that. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I was kind of offended when the fans started chanting ECW, to be honest with you, in the middle of that segment, only because it was taking away from what was happening in the ring,
Well,
but thank God they recovered.
WWE owns ECW, so I mean,
well, that's true.
I mean, just so the fans and our fans are aware, I remember very well, as I hope you all do, the silent era of COVID wrestling when there was no sound. And
thank
at
God
that
that's
point,
over.
I said, I will never criticize the fans again. I don't care if they chant CM Punk.
100.
I don't care if they throw beach balls. I don't care if they're chanting you deserve it and nobody deserves it.
I think we did a show about you saying that. I remember you actually particularly saying that. Bad time.
Because silence is death for wrestling. It's just
it doesn't work, man. It's terrible. Exactly.
Doesn't work at all. So any noise is good noise. So I didn't mind that at all. And Paul used it. He utilized it. It's almost as if he knew it was coming.
Sure.
Maybe they've been prompted. Anyway, then he goes. Then he says what I assume is Samoan. He says, "You are umbala, umbula, pala, bala. You're a Judas, a traitor, a conspirator. You've been in conspiracy. You've been playing with this chaos since day one, going back to the Usos, day one." And then he compares him. He compares him to being like an Eagles fan after they faced Brock Purdy, who is the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, and the Eagles are facing the 49ers in the playoffs. So, that got all the fans booing and all of that. And then he went to present his trial. So do you have any about his opening statement before we get into the exhibits?
Are you talking about with Paul Heyman?
No, the other guy who was the other prosecutor. Yes, Paul Heyman.
Well, yeah, no, like I was paying attention. I'm actually in the process of uploading something too. But in saying that, I actually think he was great. I just felt though, just a little bit. I felt like he took. Oh, thank you. He actually took a little bit away from what was happening between, the Anoa'i family in the ring by all the ECW stuff. But I get why he did it. You know what I mean? And plus, Paul Heyman, he's just so great on the mic anyway. I could hear him forever, man. And it was Philly, right? So that's the only thing. But after that, it was all engines go, and it just got more compelling and more compelling by the minute, Jeff. And I was thoroughly enjoying it and on the edge of my seat.
Right. So a few months ago, really when Triple H started taking over, but they had done this a few times before. I mean, even during the Vince era, they rarely followed up on it, but they would give sort of Easter eggs. Like when Bray Wyatt was stalking the Miz, you would see them. Now maybe Triple H was in charge of booking those segments as well, but as soon as Triple H, you'd see Easter eggs. You would see Rambling Rabbit in the back. You would see you'd see Shayna and whoever a partner was at the time arguing in the background, or Nikki Cross and I think it was whatever. You'd see people arguing in the background, whatever. There were, you always had to pay attention to what was going on in the back to see if there was, a sword or a firefly thing or something from Bray Wyatt, or if there were people arguing, or if you saw someone in the background, like Dexter Lumis was hiding in places at times. So, and apparently they hired somebody like a continuity manager to sort of plant these little seeds along the way. So Exhibit A was anything subtle, but it was basically, it showed Sami Zayn talking to the Usos, and then KO attacks the Usos, and Sami Zayn doesn't help, and then old sword ass Drew McIntyre comes in, and it's KO and Drew McIntyre beating up the Usos, and Sami Zayn is basically running out of Dodge. So that was Exhibit A. Now that was pretty early on in the relationship. Sami Zayn wasn't really quite with them, but anyway. So then Exhibit B was when Sami Zayn had a chair on the outside that one of the Usos gave to him to clobber KO over the head with, and Sami didn't do it. Exhibit C was from War Games, where at the end, after they won, all of the bloodline was in the ring itself, on the ring platform, on the canvas. But Sami was at the top of the fencing, the cage, straddling it with his hands in the airs, and then he also did the 4 life sign. And Paul Heyman's like, what is this, the NWO? Are you the 4 Horsemen? Is this the Dangerous Alliance? You're doing gang signs? Those were signals. You claiming all the glory to yourself when everyone else is down together, acknowledging the tribal chief. So that was pretty good. And then Exhibit D was from a few weeks ago, December 23rd, when Roman was asking him to prove himself. And he came out with this impassioned speech, and he walked and he brushed Roman's shoulder. And I remember seeing that, and I remember going, "Ooh, Tribal Chief's not going to like that." And I think Roman did give him a little sideways glance at the time, and they did that in slow motion, like it was the Zapruder film, like JFK getting shot in the back of the head, like when Apollo Creed got killed by Drago. It was like, so he's like, you're trying to become the tribal chief, and then Roman, he's looking at that, and they say, Sammy, do you have any defense? And Sammy's like, I can't believe, Paul, that you're doing that to me. After all we've been through, after all the times you've hugged, after all I've given, all I've sacrificed, and this is where it got a little weak. Sammy's like, my defense is I have no defense. But this was part of the story. It wasn't being lame. It was part of the story. So Roman goes, and he got so angry so fast. He's like, this is your chance. You don't want this? This is how little it means to you? You don't have anything to say? You don't want to defend yourself? You don't want to fight for this? Solo! And then Solo Sikoa walks behind him. It looks like he's about to give him the Samoan spike, and he's about to do it. He's about to execute him. And Jey Uso jumps up. And he stops Solo Sikoa, and he's like, sorry, man. And he goes, Sammy won't defend himself, but I'm going to defend him. I've prepared a defense for Sammy. and he talks to me. He goes, you know how much I hated this guy. I didn't want anything to do with him. I was jealous of him. I didn't trust him. I didn't like him from day one. But he's won me over, and I love him like a brother. And let me show you my defensive exhibits. So Exhibit A, it's when Sami Zayn distracted Riddle by playing Roman Reigns' music, allowing the Usos to defeat RK Bros to get the Raw Tag Team titles. And then they show the scene where he's going, I did that. And they're all like, excited. Even Jay was happy with him that night. Then Exhibit B, when Drew McIntyre was going to deliver a Claymore to Roman Reigns and Sami pushed him out of the way and ate a Claymore for him. Exhibit C, same situation except a chair and Solo Sikoa. Sami pushed Solo out of the way and took a chair shot for Solo, I think also from Drew McIntyre. D was when Sheamus was going to do a bro kick and it was just from last week, to maybe potentially get the SmackDown tag team titles back, and Sami grabbed Sheamus by the leg and delayed him, which led to the Usos being able to retain.
That was funny.
And then Exhibit E. So Paul only went to D. Jay went to E. One more.
He did.
Then he showed all of the segments that led up to Sami being the pivotal person to help them win the War Games. Everything from leading up to the nut shot to the nut shot to then doing the Haluma kick and then basically tagging in Jay and leaving KO for Jay to do a Samoan splash and get the win for the bloodline. And Jay goes, Sami Zayn has taken so many bullets for us. He's practically bulletproof. He goes, and he never gave up on me. He never gave up on J.O. That's brotherly love. So Philadelphia, brotherly love. He goes, and the fans are chanting. They're chanting Sami, and he's asking, hey, if you think that Sami Zayn deserves to stay in the bloodline, put your ones up and all.
The whole place, dude.
The whole place put their ones up. Jimmy puts the ones up. Paul is looking crestfallen. Solo doesn't move. He's not changing his face. His arms are crossed the entire time. I was expecting Solo to put his hand up, but he didn't. So he's still,
he seemed conflicted actually.
Yeah, he's still the muscle. So the crowd's chanting Sami Uso, Sami Uso. So this was great. Sammy's looking, relieved, happy, but still, doesn't matter what the crowd says. Roman's the boss. So anyway, what do you think of that segment before we move to the verdict?
Loved it, dude. Possibly one of the best segments of 2023, in my opinion, Jeff. Honestly,
yep. They
They all hit it out of the park. Everyone played their roles so good, except for maybe that part with Sami Zayn, like you said, where he said, my backup, or his court thing is no one, pretty much. And then the fact that Jey Uso came in and like helped him out, that got to me, man. I was like, that's cool, man.
And it was Jay.
It was Jay, right? I was not expecting it from someone like Jay. And man, he put passion into that promo. He hit it out of the park. It was almost like he was in the moment, to the point where he was almost in tears. It just seemed like he meant it. It was true, straight from the heart, man. And I just thought, wow, that was so fucking good. The way he pulled that off, I was very impressed, man. That, AEW, is what you call long-term storytelling. Just quietly.
Well, it is. And I'm not really saying that this is one of the best segments of 2023 when it's January 24th. Doesn't
right,
mean
but I'm telling you, it's going to be hard to beat, Jeff.
But this story is now going into its 10th month, or so. And it's great. In this segment, I don't know if they'll be able to top this or not. But when he got the T-shirt and when he was made an honorary use, and then when he was made an official use, they keep doing other things. I mean, obviously everyone knows that this thing is coming to an end eventually. But then the breakup is also going to have story. Anyway, so we get to the verdict. Roman finds Sami not guilty for now. Then he makes some very important statements, and it was a little subtle. I don't know how many people caught it or not. And I haven't listened to a lot of podcasts today, but I did listen to Don Tony on his show, and he usually catches stuff like this, to his credit. True. This is not a criticism of him, but if he caught it, he didn't mention it, or I didn't hear. And They said, Roman said, I don't want to see you again until the Rumble for your final test. You finish out the night tonight. You make us proud, and then I don't see you again until the Rumble on Saturday for your final test.
True. He did
Note,
say that.
____, ****. What's happening on SmackDown this Friday night?
I'm looking forward to it. I won't lie.
What's happening?
Yeah, and that's a good point.
Yeah, do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Where he told him, well, I'm saying it to the point where he's not going to be. Are you talking about the Sami Zayn segment, right?
I'm talking about what's
Roman Reigns.
Why is this important for SmackDown though?
Because if Sami Zayn turns up on SmackDown, I guess we're going to have problems, right?
No. The reason why it's important on SmackDown is because the Usos are defending their SmackDown titles against Drew McIntyre and Sheamus. And Sami Zayn is not going to be there to help them. And
wait a minute. So are you saying, though, if he's just say the Usos lose, right?
The Usos are losing. I predicted last week on Hammer Like Hangover that Drew and Sheamus are winning these titles.
Well, if they do, and you're saying they will, are you saying they're going to blame Sami Zayn for not being there, basically, and suddenly the Usos aren't too happy?
Blame Sami Zayn, or there's going to be schism within the bloodline because Roman made the wrong call.
I can see that, and you know what? I wouldn't mind a schism in the bloodline because I feel like the Usos really do care about WWE, right? So it makes sense,
right? So the next match, we go straight into it, just in case people missed the subtlety. They don't say it outright, but they're trying to make you know, because we go right into the Usos versus the Judgment Day, and the Usos are with Sami Zayn, so he's finishing up. This is his job, to finish up the night with the Usos, make them proud. Roman, Paul, and Solo, they leave. They don't leave the arena. They go to the back to his suite to watch it on TV. But no spoilers here because we assume you already saw the show, and we're surely going to spoil the end of it anyway. But Roman, Solo, and Paul did not come out later during this segment either. They stayed in their suite no matter what was happening, apparently. So it's the Judgment Day. There was a mention about Edge. I wasn't sure if that was a tease about maybe Edge is coming out, or maybe to let us know that we should remember him because maybe he'll be in the Rumble. I expect he will. I think everyone expects he will. I don't think that's any big secret. There were a lot of video clips which showed Riddle and Orton, which maybe makes me overly optimistic that Orton might be coming back for the Rumble. I know there were stories that everyone's worried about his health permanently, but sometimes they put that stuff out there. Whatever the case. Anyway, so it was Dominic and Damian Priest representing Judgment Day, but Rhea and Finn were there to help him out. This was about 25 minutes. This match, and this was so we're at the entire first hour, which was great. This was a pretty back and forth match. You had plenty of what you would expect. There was Rhea getting in the way of things. People wanting to get in her face, but no one would hit her. Even if they were, if their momentum was driving them towards Rhea, they would stop themselves. The Judgment Day taking advantage of that, but it was a back and forth match. Finn got involved. He kicked one of the Usos when they were going to do a move from the top turnbuckle. The ref saw it and ejected Finn. So now it's 3-3. That doesn't really play a factor, but there was no man to counter Sammy. Now, that's not stopped Rhea before. She has stopped men. It's just they have not been physical with her, at least not in an offensive fashion. We all sadly remember the match with Tozawa where he was doing mostly defensive maneuvers and occasionally like a wrestling hold. Anyway, so Finn was ejected. They went a little crazy, meaning the bad guys. And then at some point, Jimmy did a move on the outside. He banged his knee into the side of the ring, or maybe it was the steps, and they acted like he was injured. His knee was injured. So the medical staff came out. Remember, the first hour was no commercials, no commercial break. So medical staff's coming out. They're like, he can't continue. He can't continue. Adam Pearce comes running out, and he says, okay, if he can't continue, if he's not medically cleared to compete, you have no choice but to forfeit the match and to forfeit the Raw tag team titles, which is not usually how tag team titles are changed, but Pierce has had it in for the bloodline. And people are booing, and Judgment Day is excited, and I think we saw Roman and in the back, you could what? As anime as he gets. And then Sammy's like, wait, no. There's a solution here. Jimmy Uso may not be able to compete, but Sammy Uso's here, and Sammy Uso, let me do it. Let me do the fight. And then you hear Adam Pearce, he goes, you know what? I did it for the Judgment Day last week, so I'm going to do it for you, which is true. They remember last week Finn got injured, or 2 weeks ago Finn got injured, and he let Dominic go in the Judgment Day. That's how they earned this title shot in the Gauntlet match. So he did it for the Judgment Day. So Adam Pearce, despite what he wanted to do, called it down the middle and let Sammy go in. And then it looked like Roman was impressed. Paul even seemed like he was surprised. I'm not sure if he was impressed, but they were surprised. But he
seemed surprised for sure.
Yeah. So the match was restarted with Sammy stepping in. And I noticed at some point, this is where I noticed that Dominic was getting really sweaty. He probably hasn't worked a real match in a while. And he's really getting that Eddie Guerrero hairstyle.
He is, actually. He is. And watch that mullet grow extra long soon. And suddenly you'll be like, orale, mamacita. And then we'll get the full reincarnation of Eddie Guerrero. The poor man's version, though.
Right. So shortly after this, they managed to dispatch Damian Priest. I think Jay throws himself over the ring, does one of those senton flips, and knock Damian Priest out. Jay was confronting Rhea while Sammy took advantage of that. He avoided a count from Dominic, and he took advantage of that and put a move on Dominic, and then tagged in Jay. And then they did the super kick, and then he tagged Sammy back in, and they signaled each other, and they delivered the 1D, which I don't think I've ever seen them do before together.
The 1D?
Yeah, the 1D. Not the 3D, the 1D.
I know.
And Sammy scored the pinfall for the Usos, and they retained the titles. So you see Roman nods in approval. He says, okay, he did his job. I don't want to see him again for the Rumble. Make sure I don't see him again to the Rumble. So again, remember what we said. Note. There is a title match on SmackDown, and Sammy won't be there.
But he's going to turn up. You know it.
I don't think he is. I think his absence is going to be the reason for the schism.
All that, right?
Or he's going to say that was a secret test and you failed it. You should have been there to back us. So whatever it is.
Oh, that's fucked. If they go that way.
Whatever it is, the Usos are losing those belts on Friday, as I predicted last week on Hammerlock Hangover. By the way, we're doing another Hammerlock Hangover tonight. We don't usually do one every week these days, but we're going to do one for a Royal Rumble predictions, and maybe we'll cover some of this as well. Who knows? So, that covers this segment. So, you have any thoughts?
Well, I don't have thoughts per se, but I think our listeners do, Jeff, because we got a few comments. Yes. Facebook user says, what a misstep with the cage match. This show was overbooked and did nothing besides the Sami Zayn angle to get us pumped for the Royal Rumble. It's Chris Whelan, by the way.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. I'm not sure that anyone disagrees with you. I mean, I think my opening comments probably indicated that I'm at least generally in agreement.
And our very own Jinder Mahal says, no wine chic, Jabroni, no Sultan, no Muhammad Hassan, I'll fuck you in the ass.
No Sabu.
Yeah, no Sep. Oh, that will never.
No General Skandar Akbar.
And on top of that, he wasn't even on Raw apparently. No Jinder. What the fuck?
Jinder's in NXT now. He's still working with.
Is he?
He's still working with Sangha. He's covering Revere. Yeah.
God damn it! Also, Facebook user said, "Is it possible that they told us in advance about Cody being in the Rumble in order to make potential entries more special?" No, hell no.
Yeah,
absolutely
I don't know
not.
if it was to make them more special. I just think it was so obvious that Cody's coming back and in the Rumble that why hide it? I mean, he was the surprise last year. I mean, all of these segments is making it seem like he's the prohibitive favorite, but you can't tell with WWE if they just didn't do too much, and they don't know when to stop, or if it's to give us a swerve. I hope it's a swerve. I don't think so. Into Hogan in the Rumble.
Why not? But best of all, the Logies, he says.
Who are the
I
losers?
agree. Yes, it's spelled with one O, Jinder, not two O's, just quietly. Not the
Remember that
loogies,
word you used
the
in
logies.
the
Yeah.
award shows in Australia. You're talking
He
about.
said, I'm too fucking. I fuck you in the ass.
So
Sheik says.
what's like a new movie?
Sheiky baby.
It's like Ben-Hur. Is that running first run in Australia now?
Really, Jeff?
No.
Everything that you get on, guess what? We get it earlier than you. So if it's the date that it comes out, like say now, today, right? Because we're a day ahead.
Oh, you're in the future, right?
Right, so we get it before you.
How come you never give me any stock tips?
Well, that I can't help you with.
Well, why not? You're in the future.
I'm in the future, but not really because we go by American stock exchange. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there's the Asian markets. Why
They do go by Asian markets too.
So why can't you from the future tell me so I can invest in things in the past?
If only it would work that way. Because remember, Jeff, I don't exist.
That's true. Australia's fake.
That's right. And this accent right here, it's fake.
Right.
Non-existent.
So what we have created here is artificial unintelligence.
You want to say that, right? I think for an AI, I'm pretty intelligent.
It's nice that you think that.
Look how real I am, Jeff. Come on.
That's exactly what a Turing test machine would say. That's right. All right. So
Yes.
then we see JBL and Baron Corbin babbling about going to a poker game. I hate Baron Corbin. I don't like him with JBL. Nothing's working for me here.
This sucks.
But remember the old days where the APA did the poker game behind a closed door, but it was only a closed door with a frame. There were no walls.
That was funny back then.
And people always respected. Well, they brought that back, but the thing was that the Godfather was the doorman, just like he's a doorman. He was a doorman at clubs in Las Vegas.
That's true. And then he owned him.
And Baron Corbin wasn't on the list. He's like, first of all, I didn't know him. He's like, Barry. I don't know.
Barry.
No, it's Baron Corbin. There's no Barry, there's no Barry, there's no Corbin, nothing, not on the list.
He should have said Baron Dorman.
Right. He goes, can we talk to the owner about this? And he said, yeah, there's a new owner. And they knock on the door, and Farouk comes out. And he's like, hey, what's going on, brother? And they both the Godfather and Farouk separately said, what's with the stooge? So they called Baron Corbin correctly a stooge. And anyway, he's like, if he's not on the list, he can't get in. He's like, what, you can't do anything for me about it? He's like, nope. If he's not on the list. And then you see two wads, stacks of cash that Baron Corbin. So they go into a poker game to make money. But in order to do so, he's giving them 2 bricks of, like $10,000 each.
What a
so
loser.
they're like, oh, we can put him on the list. There he is. There's his name right there on the list. Barry Corby, right there on the list.
Barry Corby.
So they go in, they close the door. It says APA on the door still, and of course there's no walls, but everyone's in there playing poker, and by everyone, there's the Good Brothers, there's Elias, the Garganos are in the background, not playing poker with Loomis, who's saying nothing. You've got DDP playing at a table with Medusa. Well, she's she's
Alundra
Blaze in this universe, right?
And she had the title bout that was in the friggin' bin.
That's right. Yeah. An Easter egg there. Shelton Benjamin was there. The Alpha Academy was in there. Otis was growing his hair out and wearing.
Thank you. It looks funny though. I'll give him that.
That's right. He was wearing those wraparound sunglasses like he was one of the convicted oath keepers today. I don't even know who else was in the room, but basically everyone in Raw, Tozawa, everybody who wasn't otherwise on the show were injured. they were in there playing poker. So there you go. That was wrestling shtick, a little bit funny, mostly stupid,
mostly cheesy, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then we get LA Knight on the promo, which is surprising.
Yeah,
it's on SmackDown.
Los Angeles Night.
That's right, Los Angeles Night. That's a promo in the ring, and he's like, Bray Wyatt, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of anyone. So you know what? Any of you legends are out there. Any of you want to come out there for pitch? I'll give you a preview of that Pitch Black match. You come out right now and you challenge me. And then there's a pause. And he's like, nah, I didn't think so. That's a
nah.
And then we hear the gong, the Undertaker's gong. And there was an awkward pause, and you can see that they're wheeling the motorcycle up to
he was struggling, dude.
entranceway, and then we see the American Badass logo, and we hear Kid Rock,
American Badass. I popped to that, dude. That was fucking cool, man. Because I really loved that song, first of all. And I actually felt that song so best suited the Dead Man back then, man. And I'm glad they actually brought that back, because when they used the normal generic WWE music after that song back then, it sucked. Nothing was even close to that Kid Rock song, and I popped. American Badass, great song.
So Undertaker rode the motorcycle down the ramp, but he did his, sort of walked the motorcycle around the four corners of the ring, raised his arm, and they called him Big Evil. They said, we haven't seen this version of Big Evil in 25 years, or something like that. So the Undertaker walks in. He moves slow. He
Very
really
slow.
looked old.
And
Yeah.
he had fucking a wig on, Jeff.
That ponytail may have well been
An extension.
and the camera, he borrowed it from Bianca, I think.
For sure.
And the camera caught him in they did some close-ups when they shouldn't have done close-ups, and they sort of, while he was sitting in the motorcycle, the angle was like on his belly, and that they probably should have kept it like anywhere else. And
he still had friggin' pythons, though. I'll give him that.
He's a big man. They had the camera focused in exactly the wrong place. Like they could have picked anywhere else.
He really did look old as fuck, man. And
he was,
see what happens when you retire? You just age.
You do. I get it. So LA Knight, he's talking to him. The Undertaker's not saying anything. He's just looking at him coldly. He's like, I heard you say that the locker room was soft these days. LA Knight's not soft, but you know what? I agree with you, Taker. I agree with you. So you know what? I'm going to give you a pass. And LA Knight walks out of the ring, backs up, and he's walking up the rampway. The lights go out, fades to black, and then we hear Bray's music. And then LA Knight turns around, and then the spotlight is right there. Not the spotlight, the lamp that Bray carries. And the face was blocked for a while, so I wasn't sure who it was or if there might be multiple Brays, but no, it was Bray Wyatt, in fact. So LA Knight is Bray Wyatt on one side, the Undertaker in the ring. He decides to retreat to the ring because the Undertaker hasn't made any moves yet. And when he turns around, the Undertaker applies the choke to his throat as if he's going to do a choke slam, but instead of trying to choke slam, he doesn't. LA Knight squirms in his grip for a while. The Undertaker sort of does sort of like not a 360, but sort of like a like a 270 with holding LA Knight in the grip. And he sees Bray come into the ring, and they look at each other, and you're not sure who's on whose side and what's going on. They have a lot of history, and he shoves LA Knight into Bray's arms.
You're forgetting he whispered something in Bray's ear also.
Not yet.
Oh,
Bray applies the Sister Abigail. LA Knight is out, and then the Undertaker walks out, stops, and whispers something in Bray's ear. Everybody's wondering what it is. They're wondering if it was a formal passing of the torch. Yes, it was. They're wondering what he said. He said, "You can save up to 15% by switching to Geico."
Or you can save and get a free month right here at Podbean when you use our affiliate code, the PWC Network. Just quietly.
Oh, that was good sidekicking. Yeah, that was good. That was good co-host.
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? Talk about passing the torch. Pass your torch on to Podbean, where you never need the high beans. You always got the Podbean. Yeah. Get your free trial period. Don't be a dummy. Yeah.
Don't be. Yeah.
Talking you. Don't.
Also, Homeboy says Jeff Lippman 2024.
Shut your whore mouth. or stop your whore fingers from typing. Jeff Lippman is in the position he's in because he no longer wanted responsibility. So,
shout outs to Homeboy Ocho.
Jeff was retired from responsibility. That's why he smiles now. What the talk is that he might have said something like, "I've always believed in you," because the reports were that Undertaker was always defending Bray, was always advocating for him. Right. And he said to Vince, he said, "You take care of him. You take care of him."
Actually, I thought I read his lips, and from what I took from it, it almost seemed like to me, I could be completely wrong, But to me, it came across as, go get his ass, boy.
Oh, I saw him say, even if I was gay, I wouldn't be attracted to Jimmy T.
And you know what? It's better. Don't be attracted to me, boys.
I don't
Just
know.
saying.
Listen. I take it as a compliment. So anyone who's attracted to me, male, female, gender neutral,
Sure.
non-binary, alien.
Sure. Well, just for
extra
any of the
dimensional,
fellas
interdimensional.
out there that do have the hots for Jeff, do me a favor and give him a little spank on his botty watty when you see him.
Ain't touching, but but what you can do is when we finally get PWC merchandise, you can order some of that, or now you can just like and subscribe and follow the PWC.
As a matter of fact, I'm going to go even one better. Please give us a review or a 5-star rating on iTunes if possible. Please, that will really help us.
Yeah, I don't want to give anyone the wrong idea because the answer is always penis. But I'm just saying I take it as a compliment. If someone's attracted, I'm flattered. That's all.
Speaking of penis, Homeboy says to you, the genius is attracted to you.
It's not me he's attracted to.
It's not actually.
Unless he's using her to get to me.
It's close. It's close.
An entire hour-long YouTube on it, and you can look it up. It's La Magia por Viviana on YouTube, and you can look up Lani Pafo and Viviana, and you can see their entire 1 hour interview. It's
fucking. It's for me. It was awkward.
It's beautiful. It's a thing of beauty. Shout out to Lani Pafo.
Shout outs to jumping Lani Pafo.
Right. By the way, Bray was wearing a White Rabbit t-shirt. I still don't know exactly what the White Rabbit means, but I didn't want to not note that because that was part of the QR codes before, and nothing's really come of it since. But maybe it's not quite over yet. Maybe the White Rabbit thing isn't done yet, or maybe it's just trying to sell a shirt. I don't know. But yeah, so that was it. That was the passing of the torch. I thought this was a really cool segment. I mean, the Undertaker certainly looked worse for wear. It took a lot longer than it should have or could have. At least Bray's entrance wasn't as long. I mean, someone told him the abbreviated version tonight, Bray.
The abbreviated version. He didn't mess around. He got right out there, literally.
Yeah, he was right there. We come back to the poker room and we see that Medusa is pretty sure that she's got the winning hand. We know Baron Corbin doesn't. Everyone else is. But DDP has a straight, and they're like, a straight doesn't beat a full house. And he's like,
of diamonds.
A diamond straight does. And he goes, bang! So DDP, wins his hand. And then, later on, we'll get into Baron's almost.
He didn't give himself a self high five.
Yeah, well, he used to go self high five, remember?
Right, he should have given himself a self high five.
He did not do that. This was fine. I mean, this was, once you knew the poker room was coming, you knew you were going to get stupid poker room jokes. I mean, I'm not going to say this was good, but it was,
damn.
It was what it was. Next, however, was bad. So we were supposed to get Bayley versus Becky in a steel cage match. They were making a big deal about it. The first women's steel cage match on Raw in 5 years or something like that. Bayley comes out with damage control. They were supposed to leave her side, but apparently when they did, they just did either they never did or they did sort of a circle around and they came up back behind commentary. So then when Becky came out, she was attacked on the outside of the cage by both the damage control. Then it was a 3-on-1. They were beating the crap out of her. They threw her into the ring. They locked the cage from the inside with a chain and a master lock. And the match still hadn't officially started, but it was a no DQ match. So as outraged as everybody was, I don't know what the big deal was supposed to be. And then Adam Pearce was like, no. And him and officials come out, get me bolt cutters. Again, it's no DQ, doesn't make sense. He gets bolt cutters, and Adam Pearce did the greatest Tay Mello impersonation I've ever seen. Because just how she couldn't figure out how to use a key and open a lock, he couldn't figure out how to use bolt cutters and cut a chain for an awkwardly long period of time. But finally,
damn it, Pierce!
Exactly. But finally, he does. The officials intervene again. Why? It's not a DQ match.
I hated that. Fuck.
And they decided that it wasn't like a break to go to a commercial break and then restart the match. They just declared it a non-match. And Bailey and Damage Control go out laughing. They don't look any stronger. They look stupid.
Yep.
Nobody cheered for Bailey or Damage Control. They didn't boo. It was nothing. Crickets. Becky at least got some cheers. She still gets that pop, but I don't feel like,
she ain't the man anymore, Jeff.
Yeah.
She's the mother now.
If there was ever a time for some color, this would have been a good time for there to be some blood to try and recreate that moment. But it looked like she was crying, like she was hurt, like she was crying about it. And
do you blame her?
I mean, you remember a few weeks ago when Asuka got beaten up by Damage Control also? They beat up Asuka and Alexa Bliss when they were feuding with Bianca. And Asuka was you grabbing her knee or ankle, and it sounded like she was crying. It's like,
she overdid it, dude. She's like, yeah, that was cringe.
Yeah. Becky didn't make the same noises, or at least we couldn't hear them, but the faces were the same. This was no bueno. And it didn't make sense. Then we got do you have anything to say about this?
Pretty much what you said. This sucked. I mean, what else is there to say other than what you said? But Homeboy says the Corneli, which means the rabbit in Greek. That's funny.
Well, what's the white rabbit? What's white in Greek?
To aspro Corneli. That's the white rabbit. Aspro is white. He also says, is The Rock going to wrestle WrestleMania versus Roman Reigns? Not sure right now. Probably not. I'll dare say it's 50-50 right now, but every day it's going lower.
Yeah, I don't think that he is. I don't think that's where this is going. But I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it is what's probably best for business, so I'm sure they're trying. I'm just not sure it's possible. So I wouldn't be surprised. Right now, I'm leaning towards no.
Can we possibly get, actually, Jeff, Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns WrestleMania matchup? I'll be down for it, man.
I think that's too into wrestling. I think that
you think?
I think for the people they're trying to attract, Sami Zayn is not the aesthetic they're going for.
I mean, he's over, dude.
He's over in wrestling. WrestleMania isn't for wrestling fans. Wrestling is for the people who WrestleMania. The wrestling fans are tuning in no matter what. WrestleMania is for everybody who has not watched wrestling in the last 25 years, but still may want to check out the biggest show.
Well, I don't know if they're testing the waters to possibly go that way, but I mean, if The Rock is not going to be around and we don't get a finish to that sort of storyline, for the time being, I would go, down that route. I mean, I know there's rumors about Stone Cold coming in, but why? Why do we need to see that? There's no point.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be the same as The Rock. It's just he's got a more open schedule.
Right, exactly. So, and Stone Cold wasn't even on this show, right? Other than a vignette.
Oh, yeah, I was really surprised that Stone Cold wasn't on this show, which makes me afraid that he might be in the Rumble.
Don't say that. Oh, well, if he is in a Rumble, does he have to win it, though? See what I mean?
How does he not? Or how does he not, if it's not like Stone Cold 29 and The Rock 30 and they just stare each other down? I don't...
the place will go banana.
Though, but Triple A isn't that different from Vince. He just keeps more people on payroll.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, but that's later on in the show because he does kind of give a little nod to what people say about him online. But that's a bit later.
Yeah, that's the next segment. Here we go.
Oh, beautiful!
The obligatory
Great
DX
segue.
Reunion. And so you hear the music, and everyone pops for it.
Funny.
It's Triple H, X-Pac, Road Dogg, HBK, and then you see there's a fifth guy, and it's clearly Kurt Angle. He's the only one not wearing a DX shirt, and I have Kurt Angle with a question mark. What's he doing there? No one's mentioned.
Me too, but no one was even paying attention to him, which made it funnier as they were walking out. It's like he wasn't there.
Right. So then they go in and they're preparing to do their DX thing. So Road Dogg, lines up as ladies and gentlemen, people, children of all ages. It's the
Generation X.
6 times WWE World Champions, the Road Dogg, Jesse James, and he looks over and goes.
He says the bad, and then stops. Yeah, the badass. He goes like that.
They're all like, Kurt? Like they first noticed him. And they're like, "What are you doing here?" So they all do their, DX shtick, kit shtick, whatever you want to call it. And Kurt takes off his whatever red T-shirt he was wearing, which is probably like Drink Milk or something like that.
No, he was wearing the DX shirt.
No. First he had a red T-shirt on.
Okay, all right.
And then
cool.
he took the red T-shirt off, and he was having a lot of trouble with it. I'm like, oh my God, Kurt looks really slow and old doing this. But underneath there was a DX T-shirt. And he's like, I always want to be in DX.
God,
like,
funny but
just come
goofy.
over. And then he goes, and Triple H goes, I have a test for you. And he goes, are you ready? And Kurt,
like, yeah.
Kurt goes, is that the test? And he goes, never mind. And he climbs up to the second turnbuckle. He goes, are you ready? And then he does the DX thing, and everyone's doing their spot. Kurt's arms are a little bit high, so Sean's like this. So Kurt puts his arms
Sean
up.
killed me too, just quietly.
And they all go, let's get ready to suck it. So and right before the suck it, Imperium's music comes on, and we get interrupted by Imperium. So Imperium, does their shtick, and it's, it starts with your friend Ludwig Kaiser, who you like his very Nazi fancy boy, machination.
Nazi fancy boy, I like it.
So him and Gunther are saying how they're embarrassing us with their nonsense and disrespecting this great sport, and we are here to teach you sports entertainers that this is professional wrestling and our ring is sacred. And so
Ringkampf.
Right. So they're like, so we challenge you basically, and so each of the DX guys comes up, and Triple H.
I love it.
Goes nose to nose, and then he looks like he's going, and then he steps and goes, I'm retired.
That's what I was saying. Like, when he went face to face with Gunther,
right?
I'm thinking, but he's retired. There's no way. Don't imply something that's not going to happen. And then when he backed away, I loved it, man. And then when everyone went at him, like, oh, no, I'm not fucking with him. No chance. But what's even better is seeing Gunther mark out, dude. He started marking out, and that really brought a smile. They started
cracking up during the
thing.
Right. And it really was wrestle crap comedy, but seeing
absolutely,
crack up
absolutely,
and try and do it like they were laughing at them like these losers, but at first they were just laughing. But they
laughed at themselves in the end, knowing that they're old has-beens, fat, old.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sean goes up to him and he's like, no, I'm too old. I'm not doing it. And
with
then
his typical goofy HBK humor. No. I'm not facing them. You know what I mean? Like,
just be thankful he was wearing a cowboy hat so he couldn't see his lazy
eye.
His eye's not even lazy. It's just pointing in the wrong direction.
No, it is. It is fucking pointing the wrong direction.
Right. It's not lazy at all. It stays exactly where it's supposed to. Just in the wrong place. Or where it wants. Anyway, so then they go. No. So then Jesse James goes, oh, it's up to me. And he goes up to me and goes, who am I kidding? I am to go invite them. And then Triple H goes, that's right. Just calm down. Settle down, Butterbean.
Yeah, that was funny because he's basically calling him fat.
Right. And then they look at X-Men and he goes, oh, so it's up to me. It's up to me now? Okay. Yeah, I got really bad shin splits. So then they all go. So they gather up. They do their little huddle thing. And they look at Kurt and they go, we have an idea. Kurt said he'll fight you. Kurt will fight you. And then Kurt's like, nope. Funny. No, I won't. No, I did not say that. I am not fighting him. I'm definitely not fighting him. And then the Imperium's like, well, if nobody will stand in for your honor, we have proven our point in our ring. Then you burn it down.
Oh, I popped to that too. I thought he's going to be awesome, and then they fucked it. But continue, please.
So Seth Rollins comes out. He takes way too long to come out, and he's dancing around. And then they're like, so he comes to, protect his mentor. Probably what I would say, I'm not sure. Do you think this is an official face turn? I would call this an official face turn.
I think it happened weeks ago, to be honest. Just they didn't really
heelish,
He's a face right now, right? You think, like you said, but really that turn happened back when he was at home in Iowa when I did Raw about a month ago, maybe.
Yeah, but he's still been doing the heel thing. He's still been cheating. He's still been being opportunistic.
And that's fine.
Outright. But I'm going to call this the official face turn. That they're stop fighting it. That people sing a stupid song anyway, and and we do a stupid laugh. I mean, as much as I'm not a Seth Rollins fan, I mean, I'm right there with you going.
Come on, it's gold. That fucking laugh is the best laugh since Ted DiBiase. Speaking of which, I was disappointed not to see IRS.
You did see IRS. He was there.
Well, where was he? How did I
Well,
miss him?
we're going to get to that. I can't believe. I mean, I didn't talk about Ted DiBiase purposely because we didn't get that. But yeah,
I must have missed him on a little, bathroom break, I guess.
yeah, not a little one. One of those Logies. So then it was like, well, there's still only one of him, and there's three of us. And then,
Yeah.
and then, someone says, "Is there anybody, any team out there who's going to help even the odds and rescue us damsels in distress?" And then the Street Profits music comes.
That destroyed it. And please, can someone tell these guys not to dress up as basketball players? Please. Please.
Well, you're dressed as a basketball player.
I'm not wearing fucking matching shorts, Jeff.
You can't prove that.
I sure can.
I thank God you are wearing shorts. We couldn't tell those weren't basketball shorts.
They're black
not
Puma shorts. They're not matching.
Well, they weren't.
If you wear matching shit, right? If you wear a full uniform, you're a dork. All right, just quietly.
They totally look like they're wearing kids' pajamas, supposed to look like sports team stuff. Absolutely, 100%. Anyway, so the Street Profits there to even the odds, and Triple H goes, "Why is everyone looking at me? This booking thing is hard. It's not like you just make decisions on the fly and everyone does whatever they want." Shots fired at Tony Khan right there, obviously.
That was brilliant. Loved it.
It's like, if only there was anybody who could make this official. And then Teddy Long's music comes on.
Oh, man.
And Teddy comes up, holla, 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 and he goes something like, "Imperium, in order to settle this score," and I thought he was you're going to have a match with The Undertaker, but no, he didn't do that. He goes, "You're going to face in a 6-man match tonight, Seth freaking Rollins and the Street Profits right here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania." And so the crowd goes crazy, and so now we have a match.
Everyone's dancing to the DX music.
I'm pretty sure that during this time I either heard something wrong, or I think it was Corey slipped and said Teddy Hart, not Teddy Long.
Did he?
I think so.
I didn't pick up on that. I'll recheck that out. That's funny. That's interesting. But they missed the ball, Jeff. He should have came out in the middle of Valhalla in a match, and him coming out going, "Valhalla, Hala, Hala." That would have killed me.
Yeah, but if he did that, it would have had to have been the Vikings.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Nobody wants the Vikings.
But that's true too. But still, I just want to hear him say that. Valhalla, Hala, Hala, players.
All right. So then they're like, "Well, how can we make this official?" And the reason why Kurt Angle was having so much trouble taking the first shirt off is because he actually had a third shirt on under it, and he didn't want to spoil it. He didn't want to ruin it by pulling up the second shirt, because he had on a red, white, and blue referee stripes sleeveless shirt.
Great shirt, just quietly.
Right? So he's like, "We have a referee. We have a special referee." So this is a match. The faces won. I mean, it was right around this point where this show turned into a tribute for the troops and didn't feel like a Raw anymore, where it was just exhibition and the faces won. So it had already gone from shtick to to that. And then I saw during one of the commercials that Magnum PI, the new version of Magnum PI, is apparently coming to Peacock. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
I didn't get that ad
on CBS, like both the old version and the new version.
I'm not sure, but I didn't get that commercial because obviously I'm in Australia. So
right. Right. You haven't even gotten Magnum PI the original yet there. So
yeah, absolutely we did. Of course. Right. I know Magnum
the one with Charlie Chaplin, right?
No, not Charlie Chaplin. That's going way back, Jeff.
Oh,
jeez.
Okay.
I don't think I was around, or you, by the way.
So I was Charlie Chaplin distracted by this whole Magnum PI thing, this whole Mandela effect that I was having. That I missed the Jerry the King Lawler joint commentary, but
I didn't miss that part.
Yeah, but then they pointed out that he's wearing the same outfit he wore 30 years ago when he was first on Raw, and it still fits pretty well. And then
he said something silly too, by the way.
It was a corny joke train, but the first one I actually liked. He said something like, "Kevin," he goes, next time you get rid of some of your old clothes, stay in them."
Yeah, but you know why that was bad? Because of his history, if you know what I mean, of under 18-year-olds and Jerry the King Lawler, if you get my drift.
Yeah, but getting rid of old clothes and Kevin Patrick, I mean, what's that got to do with that? Anything?
Well, I don't know. It could mean all sorts of things when it comes to the king, if you know what I'm saying.
That's a Memphis. I mean, Jerry Lee Lewis, married his 12-year-old cousin. I'm pretty sure.
Excuse me?
When Elvis married Priscilla, I'm pretty sure she was under 18.
Well, that was then. And look, that's true. That shit used to happen.
I'm not even sure it's a crime now in Pennsylvania, as long as the parents consent and give a cow.
Well, speaking of cows, we'll get to that part later because I thought of something that rang my mind. But anyway,
as long in certain cultures, if there's a rape, it's not a crime as long as there's like a bride price play like this.
Well, actually, in Italy, because I was listening to a podcast, it was a murder podcast, as a matter of fact. Mm-hmm. But in Italy, up until only recently in the 90s, if you were, what people were doing there? They were raping women and making them their wives and not going to jail for it. That was a thing in Italy. They were literally raping girls to marry them because if they didn't get married to the rapist, it's the family shame, right? Because they lost their virginity before marriage. Right. But the only way you can rectify that is by marrying your rapist.
You cure it after the fact by but it's close enough to the act that God condones it.
I kid you not, that is a true story, and that thing only changed like recently where all the women got up and protested about it.
I am telling you that there are places right now in the world that there is a set price for rape, and as long as it's paid to the father or the clan head,
it's true. It is true.
That it's not considered a crime. And I think this is a good time to talk about the sort of controversy that's happening that the Raw 30 did not give enough time to women or women legends.
True, I agree. I mean, it's true. I mean, I don't know if they realized that. Maybe they didn't. You know what I mean? And they just thought, "Oh shit." But it seemed a little rushed. Let's be real, Jeff. Didn't the show seem a little rushed?
I think it seemed rushed, and I don't think that what happened in the Becky match was supposed to. If it was really bad.
If that's the case, then
why? That was like NWA power booking.
That's pretty bad. But if that's the case in what you're saying, why do you think they scrapped it pretty fast then? What do you think happened?
I think they were running out of time, and they thought other things were more important, like the DX reunion, like the main event, like they wanted to get Jerry the King. They flew in Ric Flair. I mean, that they had the legends for the poker stuff. I think they just decided that we can cut that. It was
overproduced.
We can do this match anytime. We can have Bayley and Becky eliminate each other in the Rumble or something like that, where we can run this back. I don't even know if it's correct. Maybe that is the way it was planned, all along. I mean, it seems like it was well over.
It was overbooked.
As Chris put it was well overbooked. So, I mean, it seems like a lot to overbook on the fly. So, I'm going to go with that's the way they planned it. But the Bellas apparently issued a statement saying that they were not included and not enough legends were there and whatever.
What? They were advertised, Jeff. I'm sure they were. The Bellas, that is.
Well, they were taken off the banner, but here's the deal. I think this is a shoot, work that was turned into a shoot. I think that the IWC and people like Maria Kanellis have taken it and made it real. I don't think it was. I think it's on purpose. They advertised Barmageddon and Nikki Said Yes like 42 times during the show. I think that this promo by the Bellas they cut is tactical to get the kind of controversy to promote their shows. They're both going to be in the Royal Rumble. And I already said, I think Lita, Trish, and folks like that are going to be in the Royal Rumble as well. So
I think we didn't get Lita even, or Trish is weird.
Right. So I think that the fact that so many female legends can still wrestle, and most of the male legends can't or won't, like a Batista, I think is really more like maybe in being defensive, but I think there are bigger problems with the show than that. Also, I famously don't think, I don't really love women's wrestling. I've said that a million times, but listen, Tony Khan said it out loud. He goes, I don't give them that much time because people don't watch it as much. I mean, WWE fans, to their credit, generally don't change the channel when women's wrestling is on. They generally tune in. But that 1 hour where there was 45 minutes in hour 3, which was, the Becky something match, it was the main event. that hour went to 1.2, in the ratings. It was like a historic low. I mean, Billy Corgan said also, he said, I'm not doing Empower 2 at this time because there's not enough women, talent out there available to make a show profitable. I mean, so other people are saying it out loud. So,
Is that a contradiction, Jeff? Because I feel like that's a contradiction. It's okay to do that without an uproar from all the snowflakes out there. But I feel like,
Well, I don't think anybody pays attention to NWA. Tony Khan gets dragged a little bit for it, but you know how it is. Anything with AEW, the AEW fans defend no matter what. And I saw a lot of AEW fans saying, I don't want to hear anything about AEW booking for women after Raw 30 last time. Like, come on. It was one show. You can say a lot about WWE historically, but in the last, almost decade, they've devoted pretty much 50% of their shows to women and plenty of main events. And if you watch NXT, it's 50-50 women. Sometimes it's more than 50% women. I mean, tonight's show, the only 4 matches I saw advertised are women's matches.
No, you're right.
So, I mean, AEW has 2 women's matches a week and maybe 1 or 2 promos a week. So, I mean, it's no comparison. And by the way, I don't drag AEW for it. Just stop pretending it's the other way. You're right. You're battling. You are battling for ratings. You're battling for a renewal. And if 70,000 people turn the channel every time the women come on or more, I wouldn't put them on either. So, there'd be no WNBA if the NBA didn't pay for it because it doesn't make any money.
And no one's turning up to the games anymore compared to the inaugural seasons, if you know what I mean. Compared to then, and they seem pretty empty. Tickets. Yeah, Jugger was telling me that actually. He loves going to the WNBA.
Nobody wants to go. So anyway, so we've talked about that, and now we go to the scene, another poker game scene. Baron Corbin beats the $1 Million Man in poker, and he's getting a big pot. And then we see IRS come up, and he goes,
"This is the part I missed, obviously.
Don't forget to pay your taxes." And IRS opens up his case, and he starts taking the chips and the money, and he takes it all. And they're like, all? And IRS goes, you can hold on to this. So he left him with one $100 bill, took all the money. He walks away, thank you for your service or something like that. And the $1 Million Man does his laugh and goes, everybody's got a price for the $1 Million. So basically, the fix was in. He paid off IRS, and apparently in WWE, they actually believe that IRS is the IRS and can just confiscate money like that. So
they're shyster.
Right. And then,
or shyster, whatever you want to say.
And then Ron Simmons / Farouk walks over, looks around, looks befuddled. You get the pregnant pause, and damn.
I saw that. You know what? I remember what I was doing. I was actually doing this right here, doing the description and stuff while that was on. So I guess that's why I didn't pay attention.
Great. I don't have to write a description. That was fabulous.
There you go. Wow.
Yeah. You already wrote it.
Yeah. Anyway, yes.
Yeah. Then we get a commercial for a Netflix show about female luchador wrestling, and Rey Mysterio is in the show. So it's something like
I didn't get this commercial. So please tell me more about this crap.
Apparently, a mother comes out of prison. Her daughter is not interested in her at all. I guess her daughter's a wrestling fan, so she decides to become a luchadora to gain her daughter's respect. And I guess Rey Mysterio is her coach. And this is a new Netflix series. I don't know what the title is. Something like Climbing the Ropes, or I don't know, whatever it is. It looks like it's going to be, like god awful. It looks like it's going to be the wrestling version of that 90s shows or Velma or something like that. But
oh no,
I will not be watching it. That's all I have to say. But Rey Mysterio, that's how I guess he gets health insurance.
Actually, Jeff, before you move on, I want to ask you this because I've been tempted to watch it, but I'm just not sure until someone else talks or tells me it's decent. But no one's been really talking about it. But have you watched Heels?
Heels?
Yeah, it's a wrestling series.
No, I've never watched Heels.
No one has. I've noticed, and I don't want to watch it until I know someone has watched it and tell me that it's half decent. Is it worth watching?
I think Mish likes it.
Really? It's not comedic, is it?
I don't think so. I think it's supposed to be a drama. I don't know. I've never watched it. I can't really tell you, but I think that Mish watches. I think he likes it. I think he said it was pretty good.
Yeah, because I just don't hear anybody talking about it, man. Nobody.
I'm not sure that the second season dropped yet.
I'm not sure, but it's been coming up on my TV screen so many times. I'm like, nah, not yet.
Well, back from Rey Mysterio's big break in acting, and we find Kathy Kelly backstage, Lady in Red.
Where the hell was Maxine? Damn it!
Well, she's on SmackDown. Anyway,
so what?
She's interviewing Lashley backstage. Lashley's, doing one of those pull, those stretchy muscle thing kind of things. And she asked Bobby Lashley what his motivation was in asking for a no DQ match with Austin Theory for the United States Championship. And Lashley says, no DQ means no excuses. And then he invokes the name of Brock Lesnar. That the only reason that Austin Theory has his belt is because Brock Lesnar interfered. And right then I realized that I had forgotten about that. And fuck Lashley's definitely not winning the Royal Rumble because he's going to be in this stupid promo with Brock Lesnar, and all my dreams have been shattered, just like Johnny Loves Jazz, shattered dreams in a moment.
I do expect both of them to be in the Rumble match, though, Jeff. Surely, not surely, surely.
I do too, and everyone is. Well, not everyone. A lot of people think that that's going to be the WrestleMania match. I hope it's not. The other rumor is that it'll be Brock Lesnar versus Gunther as a WrestleMania match.
That would be cool.
Which leaves my beloved Bobby Lashley still as a possibility to win the Rumble and be the Swerve. Because, as I've said many times, I'm still hoping that someone like a Matt Cardona or Nick Aldis or someone cost Cody the Rumble match. They may not even be one of the 30 or 40 entrants. They may come out of the crowd and do a distraction. But whatever it is, yes, I know it's most likely going to be Cody, but I feel like that's too obvious. And yes, I'm a complete Lashley mark, and I'm probably wrong, but I don't care. I'm sticking with it until the prediction show tonight.
As predictable as the Rumble seems to sort of be, I feel like it's going to be one of the hardest Rumbles to actually predict. Believe it or not.
Yet we will have to do so. So MVP sidles up to him. He goes, hey, champ. And I'm calling you champ because I have no doubt that you're going to win. And then, you take care of your business and we can talk, we can have your back. We can help you out here. And Lashley says, nope. I respect what you've done, but I didn't need Omos' help before. He doesn't mention anything about Shelton or Cedric. And you mind your own business. I'll handle my own business. Words that maybe Lashley will have learned to have regretted. If MVP and Omos were there, Brock might not have been able to get to him.
Her business now. They're gonna do it, Jeff. Surely this is it. It's leading to it. It has to be it.
Well, that's the other reason why I still have hope.
And he's gonna beat Lesnar. He's gonna throw out Lesnar because remember what I said. I want them to take over the Rumble. Yeah, where they throw out absolutely every motherfucker out, especially if it's the last 4 or last 6, where they just take over like NWO style, right?
Well, that's
throw everyone out.
And it doesn't even have to be Lashley that throws him out. It can be almost throws him out. Almost that grabs him from behind and pulls him out from behind.
And then the show fades to black, but end it with the Hurt Business reforming in the middle of the ring, and the commentators going, what's going to happen tomorrow night on Raw? Whatever the fuck, because it's on Saturday. So what's going to happen Monday night on Raw?
You know what? I don't usually want to do this, but cue my music.
Okay.
I'm feeling a boner coming on.
Wait a second. Hold your horses, Jeff.
I can't.
Well, you have to because...
I'm feeling multi-orgasm.
Well, there it is. It's shaking. It's balling. Whoa. I'm about to fall off my chair.
Oh my God, the Hurt Business reforming. Lashley winning the Rumble. Eliminate Brock. Oh,
I should have put the Hurt Business song. I'm falling.
Hell yeah.
Dude.
Pass me a cigarette.
Jesus. I fell. That was an earthquake.
Yeah, that was like 7.9 on the Richter scale.
Oof, only. That was more like 10 on the Richter. Seriously. Jesus. There's an even bigger tsunami about to hit us there, Jeff.
That's right.
They ain't call her La Sicaria for nothing, folks. Just quietly. So watch out.
We go from a raging hard-on to someone who needs Blue Chew, and that's Ric Flair.
Oh, the baby arm.
He comes out with possibly the most ridiculous suit I've ever seen.
What was that thing, man?
It
looked
was
like a
I'm pretty
bee.
sure it was my grandmother's drapes.
And the way he fucking talks, seriously, he's still... anyway.
Yeah, he slurs his words. It's not pretty.
It's a nice boy.
Right. And he was
He's
about to
slurring
cry
back.
because he was so proud about Charlotte. He does a Ric Flair promo. He introduces Charlotte. They hug, a little kiss. He walks away, and then
He's proud. He's proud.
and he's proud. He practically cried again as usual. Charlotte comes
He's
out.
emotional.
She invokes the women's revolution.
Was that
She-
Charlotte?
Yep,
Are you sure?
she-
I could have sworn that was Cher.
No, it's not Cher.
You sure? Oh,
Not Cher or Cher.
what is it?
It's Cher,
Okay.
not Cher.
It's Cher.
Anyway, she invokes the Bellas. She invokes Asuka. She invokes Rhea Ripley. I didn't write this down. I did,
No, you're
wasn't-
right. She did.
I wasn't aware that the lack of women on the show was going to be such a big deal to the world. Seeing all the kitsch that was there. The only legend was Alundra Blaze. Whatever. The thing is, we've seen Alundra Blaze on
Multiple.
NWA, AEW, and so I think that was noteworthy. Anyway, so Bianca's music comes on and she interrupts and she's basically saying, Raw's my show now. You're on SmackDown, and I try to make sure that Raw is the best show no matter what. And I'm holding it down. And then it seems like there might be a confrontation, champion the champion, but no. Sonya Deville, playing the role of the female Miz these days, comes out and interrupts. And it was basically actually she doesn't cut a bad promo. She actually
She's all right. She's all right, man. She's probably very underappreciated, shall I say. And I just want to point out, for a lesbian, if I was a lesbian and a female,
as if
how
you're
would
not.
you... Well, I was going to say, who would approach her? She does not look lesbian whatsoever. Honestly.
I don't even know what any of this means.
I'm just saying, she's lesbian. She doesn't look lesbian.
I know what you're saying, but in a stereotypical way, like Shayna Baszler looks like a lesbian.
That's stereotypical.
Dakota
Right?
Kai doesn't. That's
Is
her.
she?
They're a couple. Yeah. And
What?
Brandy Lauren doesn't look like it, and Shotzi Blackheart doesn't, but they're a couple.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Not all lesbians look like Ruby Soho, and Ruby Soho I don't think is a lesbian.
Is she lesbian? I don't think she is, right?
I don't think she is. So
She might as well be.
The world's changing, Jimmy. The world's changing.
It's weird.
I
It's
know you're
bizarre,
50 years
bro.
behind in Australia, but the world,
That's bizarre. Come on, I'm used to butchers, man. You know what I'm saying? Like your Shayna Baszlers. That's typical
No.
butch.
in this case, the answer is not always penis.
Well,
so
that's
anyway,
true. That's
so basically,
true.
Sonya Deville says to Bianca, "Do you really think that people are tuning into Raw to just see you? Are you that, delusional?" And then he's like, "And Charlotte, I can take on the champ anytime I want." And Charlotte's like, "You know what, Bianca? This is your show. Do you want to take care of this problem?" So Bianca, easily manipulated, maybe feeling her juices flowing in the moment, she's like, "Yeah, I'll fight her." So Bianca beats her in like a 4.5 minute match. I mean, this was a silly little match that did not need to happen, but in light of the aftermath, the listen, I get it. I'm a cis middle-aged man, so maybe I wouldn't notice it. But so based on what happened, this match absolutely had to happen because at least there was this match. And then we see Alexa Bliss. She's cutting a promo. She's obviously in a mirror. And she's talking to herself in the mirror, and she's like, "I don't need Uncle Howdy. I don't need Bray Wyatt. I don't need anyone else to beat you." She turns around. She does an evil wink. And I don't understand the people who are criticizing Alexa Bliss for acting lazy or playing disinterested. I think she's acting like she's possessed, cold, and sociopathic, which is what I think she's being perfect in this role. And that's not just because I'm actually a physical hostage of hers and under penalty of grave emotional
I thought she was
damage.
dead. I thought she was dead already.
No one died. Nobody dies here. This is the opposite of Lance Archer world.
Thank you.
Nobody
You read my
dies.
mind. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Then we got a Cody vignette. the same
Again.
old one with a
Again.
little bit of a new ending, but still.
I'm not
basically-
gonna lie. I'm a Cody fan. I am, but I'm getting sick of Cody already, and he's not even back yet.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm already sick of this guy.
I know. Unbelievable. Stop overexposing him, please. WWE.
Then we
Come
got a
on,
commercial
man.
for 2K23 coming out, and if
Already?
you pre-order, with this promo code, you can get a Bad Bunny character in the pre-order.
A bad Gonelli.
Bad Bunny, yeah. So there are going to be 3 versions of this
saw that.
2K23 game out before AEW Fight Forever came out. And then I saw a report from WrestleJoy, and I don't usually cite them and use them as a source, but they're extremely pro AEW. Now, to be fair, they are pretty positive about almost everything. I mean, that's their brand. They try to be positive about everything.
Well, not
but
us.
Right, not like they're like the opposite of us. But they reported, and because they are very pro AEW, I'm going to assume that they have at least reason to report this correctly, and they don't usually also post we report. So
Well, I want to say one thing before you continue. Shame on you, TK, because not only have you managed not to bring out your silly game just yet, but WWE have brought out 2 editions of their game long before you release your first edition of yours. So, just saying, because it's only WWE 2K22 only came out a few months ago, and already 23 is due to come out in March
with
of
3
this
versions.
year. With 3 versions.
Right. Now, AEW, apparently they're going to be buy-ins. There's not going to be different versions. That's their goal. But who knows? Who knows when this thing's ever going to happen? So this is their latest problem. Okay, according to WrestleJoy, that the video game could not get the teen rating because
Why?
they put too much blood in for the blood and guts matches.
Get the
And so WrestleJoy said, why didn't they just make it gray like Mortal Kombat? Duh.
Mortal Kombat. What, back in Super Nintendo days?
No, I think they mean more recently when things got
No,
more.
recently it's all blood and gore. I've got the latest
Well, then maybe they mean for the kids
Mortal
version.
Kombat, just
Whatever.
qualities.
I don't know anything about video games, but if that's correct, and these are supposed to be gamers making this game, they should have known that, but that's their problem. They can't get the teen rating, and they wanted the teen rating. So I don't know if they're just going to try to redo that, or if they're just going to have to put it with a mature rating or something.
Right, that's it. I mean, that's what the WWE games are too. And guess what?
but
The
they want
WWE
idiotic
games have
kids.
blood, Jeff. The WWE games have blood, and you've got an option to either turn it off or leave it on.
Right, but the
Naturally, I'll leave it
WWE games have 30 years of video game pedigree behind
Right,
them.
that's true.
AEW has 3 years of promising the video game and delivering nothing. So if that's the problem, I mean, this is reason number 927 why nobody in the world makes their own video games. They license their IP to somebody else who makes video games, and they collect royalties.
That's right.
They would have been on their 3rd version of a video game by now, and this is and not spent $50 million on a video game that will probably never make $50 million.
And you know what's funny, Jeff? By the time that damn game does get released, it's going to be so outdated. It's going to be ridiculous. Heck, even Cody will still be in the game.
Right. Well, yeah, that's another thing. They have CM Punk in the game, and they don't know what to do with that.
Right. Yeah, no, it's already going to be outdated. That game's not going to sell peanuts.
I mean, I'm sure they're going to get plenty of fans because, AEW fans are loyal, but they're also cheap. So there'll probably be a lot more pirated games than there are actually purchased games.
No, it's pretty hard to pirate actual Xbox or PS5s these days, dude.
Well, one person gets it and they all play it together or whatever. You know.
Or they're playing with themselves, maybe.
Yeah, you can play with yourself. All right. Anyway, so now we get The Miz, who's complaining, where's my Miz TV segment? Where's my title matches? So now The Miz is doing the Miz segment. KO comes in. He stuns him, does a promo. Roman, I'm sick of you. I'm coming after you. I'm going to give the fans a champion that they can all be proud of. The Miz regretfully gets back up again, and KO stuns him again. And
He sold it well, though.
Yeah, and I'm sick of The Miz, and I'm sick of KO. So,
when my hand goes up, your mouth goes shut, Jeff. Okay.
Yeah, because I fall asleep during The Miz. All right, so next is the United States title, the no DQ match. By the time the entrances and commercials are over, it's like 20 of. Austin Theory versus Bobby Lashley. because it's a no DQ match, they really lean into it, and it's almost like a anything goes match. They're using tables, they're using chairs. It was more like a what they call like a street fight match than a no DQ match. I didn't really love this match, and right as it looked like Bobby Lashley was getting the upper hand, we hear Brock Lesnar's music, and Brock comes out.
Roadkill?
Yeah, so Brock comes out.
He looked like a friggin' Amish Brock Lesnar with that beard, dude.
And he comes out and he beats up Bobby Lashley, costs him the title, and again, Lashley could have benefited by having MVP and Omos watching his back. Maybe even Cedric and Shelton could have helped out too. Who knows? But he
save it for the Rumble. I'm telling you, it'll be much better once it goes off. If they do what I was saying, it'll be
I don't
gold.
want Lashley on the U.S. side. I want him with the world title, but I don't know if that's in the cards. So it's a okay consolation. Anyway, once he said Brock Lesnar's name, I knew what was going to happen. I think I should have known this already. I probably did 6 weeks ago and forgot about it. So fine, okay. And Brock Lesnar obviously is going to be in the Royal Rumble, either as an entrant or as an irritant. And the crowd ate it up, but I didn't think this match was particularly good. I wasn't particularly excited about the ending. And I'm sort of tired of the Brock goes away, Brock comes back, and Brock is starting to feel like the new Goldberg to me.
Yeah, he is essentially. I mean, but damn, he looked pasty white on Raw this time, and that beard is going sideways.
Who am I going to criticize for looking pasty white?
But
my wall is darker than me. Builder's neutral 1 is
I've got a tan, Jeff. I've got a tan.
I know.
Well, it is summer here. It is Australia, so even though we're close to the Arctic, is it cold enough here, man? God damn it.
So, I gotta tell you, that was Raw. Very good first hour. A few good segments. I thought the Bray LA Knight stuff was pretty good, with the Undertaker not as fast. Some of it was funny. There was too much kitsch for me, but that's what you get. I disagree with people who thought that there needed to be more build up for the Royal Rumble. I think it's been built up pretty well, and it builds itself. I disagree with people about their women's point. I think that we're going to see those women. They didn't want to spoil which women would be available, for the Rumble. And so and frankly, I don't need Summer Rae and Kelly again, or Alicia Fox. I mean, I just don't need them to roll out, those barrels. I mean, we know Molly Holly works there in production, so could they put her on camera? Yes, they could have put her on camera, but maybe she had more important things to do. I don't know.
Maybe.
Whatever it is, I thought that first hour superb. The rest of it I thought was rather underwhelming.
It was just a great nostalgic show, all right? It was a lot of comedy, a lot of shenanigans, shall I say. A lot of crap, a lot of wrestle crap, like you said, actually, Jeff. It was just a feel-good sort of Raw, even though...
It felt like a Legends show.
Right,
show,
yeah.
Not a 30th anniversary, not a go-home show for
definitely
Raw, but definitely a 30th anniversary. I mean, the timing of it
was bad because of the Rumble.
Ideal,
right?
But in some ways, I think it was okay because I think it
felt on its own.
I think it took some pressure off. I just don't think the show sort of felt sort of minor leaguish. It felt like theater. It felt more like theater than a wrestling show. I
could see that. That's why I say it's more of a comedic sort of show. But
I can respect those who enjoy it, including yourself. You know what else I can respect? Somebody who takes advantage of their free trial from our sponsor, Podbean. Can you tell them about that, Jimmy?
Yes, as a matter of fact, if you click on the code PWC Network in our description, you will not only get Podbean, but you'll get it for free on your first month. And that includes your normal standard plan and also business plan. So go check it out, podbean.com/PWC Network, and get your free trial today.
Yeah, and the first thing you should do is subscribe to the PWC channel on Podbean while you're
Absolutely. Do that first. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Well, first get the trial and then.
Right. Well, yes.
I mean, so you only have two things. You can make two very smart decisions. You filthy animals. You. All right.
Actually, before we go, Jeff, we do have a question that someone really wants answered. and I assume this is Chris W. Maybe, well, whoever it is. But they ask, could you each name one male and one female who you would want to see win the Royal Rumble? I think that's pretty obvious.
No, we
in
can't.
a way, with the males side anyway.
Yeah, well,
female. I haven't thought about it really, to really care about it. I don't know. Just wait for our prediction show, and you'll find out then.
I'm going to answer the question.
Go for
because I don't think it's going to happen despite all of my wish casting today. But the more I say it, the more my wish casting powers go into effect. And I want Bobby Lashley to win. If it's not Bobby Lashley, I would like it to be some sort of a surprise. I think the only person who's big enough, but I don't think he's big enough in WWE world. So this is probably not a good idea. It would be Nick Aldis. So
wishful thinking, Jeff.
Yeah.
I know that sounds great, but I don't even know if we're going to get him debuting. Actually, dude.
I don't know that either. And I also don't. I think that that's more inside wrestling than even wanting Sami Zayn in the main event. I mean, absolutely. I think that actually there's a reasonable chance. I've always thought that Sammy's going to be like in the final four, and somehow
don't be surprised
that he might cost somebody their spot, and that may add to the fuel to whatever.
Kofi Mania all over again, Jeff. I'm telling you, no one's thinking about it. Where it makes me think
everyone's
even more
thinking about it. I see it on Twitter every single day. 90
right, but not taking it really serious, like it's going to happen. But I've got a feeling if it's not Lashley, which I'd prefer to win, if it's not Lesnar, and I doubt it is, and if it's not Stone Cold, which I hope it's not, and definitely not The Rock, or The Rock,
I mean, those,
or Cody, right? It's got to be Zayn.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to put odds on it, I would put Cody at 3-1. I'd put The Rock at 5-1. I'd put Stone Cold at like 6.5-1, and then I'd put Sami Zayn at like sort of 8-1, and then everybody else would be much further down. But you asked the question. No. I want, I want Lashley and female, who's also my prediction, by the way. It's not just a want. My prediction and who I want is Rhea Ripley. If it's not Rhea, if you're asking me for someone else, this is also absolutely 100% not going to happen no matter what. Would be Xia Li, or they make amends with Mandy Rose and she comes out and wins.
That would be cool, but I still don't see that happening.
I don't either. But Rhea, I think it has to be. They have to do something with Judgment Day, and that seems to be a damn good thing to do.
She's the only one that makes sense to actually win it, in my opinion. And
on the men's side, another one that I wouldn't rule out if they don't know what else to do. When in doubt, break glass, Edge.
I'd be so disappointed, man.
Hasn't he won the title 14 times? Like,
I think he has. Yes.
Story. I don't.
I don't want that. What for?
Cena, I wouldn't rule him out. I put that at 10-1 or 12-1. But Cena, I mean,
he'll get heat though, man. Right now, I think if he was to win the Rumble, he'll get the go away heat again.
Wrestling fans, but not from casual fans, and they don't want 1.9 million people to watch WrestleMania. They want 10.9 million people to watch WrestleMania, and Cena will do that. And he has 16. He'd break the record.
You think now's the time?
No, I don't think that's time. But I'm throwing things out there.
His time is now.
Listen, get it? Cena's more likely than Elias, Riddle, Omos, Otis, Gable.
Although I do think we will get Ezekiel, maybe.
Listen, if I wish that into existence, whatever else I get wrong doesn't matter, because I'm clearly the greatest man alive.
Before we go, also, Demetrius Pontica says, Sammy's test is to win the Royal Rumble. No, it's not, Jimmy. That's not his test, because why would he want him to win the Royal Rumble just to face him for the belts? I just don't see that.
Well, if he wanted, he could surrender. He could say, I forfeit.
Say they went that way.
Do the finger poke of doom,
imagine that.
But I mean, it could be the test. But in any event, then Sammy's going to fail that test. But
maybe Jimmy's right to lay down for it. Maybe.
There you go, sir.
I mean, maybe, but
I mean that could be the storyline. Obviously, Sammy wouldn't do it. Because a WrestleMania main event for someone to lay down. No, of course, that'd be awful. It'd be a great story. I just really feel like it's too intra wrestling. But if Triple H is in charge, Triple H is very intra-wrestling. So it's entirely possible. Anyway, there's a lot of... Listen, I like that it's not that predictable once you leave Cody.
It's predictable, but not predictable at the same time, if that makes any sense.
Now, last year, it was predictable, except we didn't know that Brock and Ronda were going to be in it. Once we found out Brock and Ronda were going to be in it, then it was predictable. So the same thing would apply with Stone Cold or The Rock. But what if it's Stone Cold and The Rock? Well, it has to be The Rock, because that's the story, right?
Right.
But maybe The Rock really is a busy guy.
Yeah, it's true. And that's why I'm saying every day.
And maybe that'd be the test for
percentage of
Sammy. Maybe that's the test for Sammy. Take out The Rock.
Imagine that. Well, first we need The Rock for that to happen. But before we go, we're still getting a couple of comments. Was the Royal Rumble? Yes, it was. 92, as a matter of fact, homeboy. That was the time where he won the championship.
Without a doubt.
With a team, as he said.
Unfortunately, what people don't remember is that the WWF universe didn't give two shits about Ric Flair because
he was
NWA, WCW, and most of them.
The real world's champion, if you remember.
Basically, he was what you all think of Kenny Omega right now. He was the minor league champion. Nobody cared.
I will dare say, as a matter of fact, go back to those years of when Flair debuted in WWE. He was not over at all.
They did not care. Heenan was so excited. Kurt Hennig was excited.
Right.
Everybody was excited, except for the audience.
Why do you think he didn't last that long? It was an experiment. It didn't work. See you later.
Right. And I'm not. And by the way, I was an NWA WCW guy. So,
and I was hyped for Flair jumping at the time, but
I was thrilled. I love that belt. That gave me goosebumps.
Right, for sure.
So there you go. If you want some dark horses, I mean, I think it's not going to happen. Camille would be a lot of fun.
That'd be great.
But in the in the Rumble.
She's married now, though. It seems like she's quieting down a little bit, Jeff.
Well, no, she actually tweeted today that she's going to be in LA Mania weekend, and she's going to put up her NWA title against anybody. Who do you want me to fight? Tag them.
Okay. She shouldn't say that because people are going to tag completely different women, and you're not going to end up facing her unless we get in the Rumble.
But I think she is hoping to get someone to book her because companies are getting a little bit more desperate because there's really only two companies now. But I think what she spoiled is that she's totally not in the Royal Rumble because why would she tweet that?
That's true too.
Because if she's in the Rumble, the act is that she thinks she's going to win it, not that she's trying to book another match WrestleMania weekend.
And if she was there, say, she should win it because she's a specimen also. I mean, seriously, Camille's
but people
very underrated.
I think that Lacey Evans is going to have a strong showing in the Rumble. She's not winning, though.
She's pretty much WWE's version of Camille in many ways when you think about it.
I think Naomi will definitely be back at the Rumble. Well, she won't win either, but she'll be back.
Well, I guess we'll see what happens. Homeboy says in the chat, who is washing dishes in the background, Jeff? It's not me. Just quietly.
Well, Homeboy, you know what it is. It's my Mexican assistants. You're fired.
Yeah, fired. That's how Vincente should have done it.
Lesnar is definitely not winning.
No chance. In hell.
Yeah. All right, listen. I'm tired. I'm done. I took 4 pages of notes on goddamn Raw. I'm
proud of you, Jeff.
Thank you. Tell them where they can find you.
Oh, that's odd. Someone telling me where they can find me. Well, as a matter of fact, you can find me right here at the PWC Network.podbean.com, where we've got all our shows, including mine and Jeff's. Also, you can find me on Twitter at the PWC Network and also at DJ Mass Effects. Please like and subscribe at channelattitude.com, where you can find us talking AEW, and check out Podbean and use our affiliate code PWC Network to get your free month. I know we've said it already plenty of times, but I'll say it again. But that's it, Jeff.
That's right. All right. You can find me at Icarus Fell MD on Twitter. You can find me here at the PWC, obviously. Check out my other wrestling show, Hammerlock Hangover, Big Daddy Cool Steve Kenya. You can check out my non-wrestling shows, Garden of Doom, Garden Views. I hope that you will. Garden of Doom is me exploring things that make me curious on this earth, within this earth, adjacent to this earth, above this earth, and beyond.
And in this earth.
In this earth, within this earth too. Is it hollow? I don't know. Did they just find the door? Maybe.
Maybe.
Garden Views, a little bit more topical, a little bit more grounded, but not really because I cover a lot of the law of space and some others, like Cannabis Law, one of the most popular shows. I wonder why.
My favorite.
Yeah, cryptocurrency, 2 shows on that. Cybersecurity show on that. So check that shit out. And you can also follow me on my journey on exploration of the law space, which, by the way, landed me a gig as general counsel and an officer of the Space Court Foundation, an international tax-exempt, non-for-profit, educational, charitable foundation. So there you go. Being a podcaster can get you more jobs that don't pay money. So congratulations. Smooth.
Winning.
Winner. More winning.
Oh, so true, but well.
All right, everybody. Thank you for checking out my show when I was hosting the PWC Monday Night Machismo. Prompt when we coalesce, prompt when we can. Slightly more on time than we usually are, and we'll, as Tony Kornheiser and Mike Wilbon used to say, we'll try to do better the next time.
We'll try to do better. Peace.
You know what the bad guy likes? Rest in peace. Everyone get on your feet. Wave your hands, turn up the heat. Everyone get on your feet. Got another show to go. We're all together, all together, all
Best there is, best there was, best there ever will be.
The PWC Network. What the world is watching and listening to.